everyone, how's it going? So Marathon Marketing reportedly canceled as game delay rumors circulate. Now let's have a little backstory of what's been going on. Since the reveal of Marathon, a lot of people have not been looking at this game with high praise. Bungie has become a former shell of itself. A lot of the veteran staff that made Bungie what is Bungie, from Halo, from even Destiny 1, even though that game had major issues at launch, they're gone. They've left the studio, and Bungie has basically been circling the drain. Sony bought them for billions of dollars, hoping to create the next Fortnite, and it hasn't been panning out for them. Destiny 2 is right now at the lowest it's ever been. The latest update really just catapulted their reputation, the heavy monetization practices, the fact they're not delivering any more large expansions anymore. At this point, just give us Destiny 3. The game came out in, I believe, 2017. If that's the case, it's almost a decade old at this point. It's a very old game, and Marathon was supposed to be their next big title, but when this was revealed, a lot of people groaned because it was just like another extraction shooter, another like $40 experience. And if you remember what happened with Concord, yeah, a lot of people have been calling this Concord 2.0. And there were people who were willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, but when the game's alpha launched, which again, this was a closed alpha, so these were people who were handpicked to participate in this stuff. I'm sure there are some keys that were just out in the wild, but from what I can tell, these were people who were supposed to be showcasing the game, and they just never ever came back. You can see this is a bad line right here. And even though the game is not available for pre-order, this is the Steam DB for wishlisting, and not exactly 58th place. That is really, really bad. And all of this stems from when Anti-Real, which is this very cool artist who created these poster designs, these look really cool. Even though I'm not a fan of Marathon's art style, I think it looks very plasticky. I think this art style is like a poster design, looks really cool. I do think like static images that you would hang on the wall, this does look good. But she came out and stated they lifted work directly from her. Now, Bungie went on record to state that this was a former artist, someone who no longer works at Bungie, but I think that's complete BS. I think they're hiding who actually did this, because it makes no sense that the person who is basically, if this person is as low as they say they were, how exactly did they become the pioneer of the art style of everything that's here right now? It makes no sense when you start to think about it. If this is supposed to be a big budget AAA experience from $1 billion studio, why, like, if they took the ideas from a low-end artist, wouldn't they be higher on the totem pole, because they would be essentially the art director, or at least part of the upper echelon of this game's development, if their entire style was being used for a big budget title like this? Yes, it's a $40 game, but still, it's from Bungie, and you see, when you start to think about it, it makes absolutely no sense. Regardless, Anti-Real came out with a lot of damning evidence this month, and Bungie admitted. They were like, hey, sorry that this happened. We're going to take measures in order to resolve this. But this wasn't Bungie's first time of doing this. So fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But they've done this multiple times throughout Bungie's career, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. Like, it's right now a pattern at this point. And when they hosted a live stream for this entire thing, they, like, look at this, they actually curated the entire post launch of the stream. Like, this used to have a lot of like plagiarism will make us gods and stuff like that, and it's all gone here. Like they curated the entire chat. That's just like, don't do that. That's a really, really bad sign. And this guy on the right, he's become a meme at this point, because you've probably seen Asmongold's reactions and stuff like that. Yeah, it's been really, really bad. And now Bungie employees are speaking out about the greed that this company has been consumed with, that it's not the lower end studio, the people who are basically programming, animating, making, the people that not at the executive levels are the ones fighting for the players essentially, and it's the greed of the hierarchs that are essentially like destroying this company. So they stated how greed has infested the company, how they wanted to make Destiny 2 a subscription model game like an MMO. What the, like, I'm so glad they fought against this, because that is the dumbest idea you can possibly imagine. You're not World of Warcraft. You're not gonna, like, people will literally just go to Warframe at that point. Like, Warframe is already doing very well. And the thing is, it reminds me a lot of this interview with the Ackman and Marty O'Donnell that came out around 9 months ago. Like, everything that Marty says in this interview mirrors everything that's coming out about Bungie at this point. And I know a lot of people are going to say, why doesn't most employees come out and say this stuff? It's because of NDAs. They can be blacklisted not only from Bungie, but from every corporation imaginable. Like, having your name out there as like someone who breaks NDAs is not a good sign. And even Marty was sued. Remember, he was sued by Bungie because he apparently broke NDAs by releasing music, I believe, that was not released. It was like Bungie property. I don't remember the specifics, but he goes to it in this interview. I recommend that you watch it. It's a really good interview. But yeah, so Marathon Marketing is apparently canceled at this point by Sony, who are probably not too happy about the whole situation right now. They already had a huge flop with Concord. This is looking to be a repeat, and they're probably trying to hedge their bets. And the thing about this stuff, it's incredibly damaging. If you don't remember the Halo Infinite situation with the whole Brute Craig image and how the visual design just looked very last gen. They delayed the game an entire year, but because they had a promotion with Monster Energy Drink, they had to go forward with this entire partnership. So essentially these cans, I saw them, they were like at CVS, Rite Aid, well, before Rite Aid went bankrupt, but they were everywhere, and they had codes, and you couldn't redeem them, but they all had these codes, and they had to go forward with them because their marketing deal was locked and loaded. They had to go forward with this. It was printed, it was shipped. They had to release this product because the cans are already sealed. You can't wait a year. The product will go bad, so they just released it out. This stuff, it cost the company millions upon millions of dollars. If you don't know, when it comes to marketing entertainment products, whatever the product costs, you have to double it for marketing. You have to do bulletin boards, YouTube ads, Twitch ads, movie, like sides of buses, stuff like that. So it's not cheap, and it has to go forward, especially if the contract is with perishable products. Marathon has found itself in a sticky situation in the last week or two. The game has become the subject of an intense debate of plagiarism and immoral practices when it discovered that the art team had featured stolen textures in the version of the game that the folks have been playing. Yeah, that's the thing. They have to erase all the plagiarized content, which I don't know why they don't just hire Anti-Real at this point and make her the game director or art director at this point, but I think that she has actually a stronger case. I'm not a lawyer, but I would assume that she can get a lot more out of this if she just doesn't adhere to those things. I don't know, maybe they it's guaranteed that they've contacted her. She already stated that, so they're probably dealing with that internally and they can't speak about it because a lawyer speak. But I don't know, at this point maybe they should just put her in the credits, but maybe she doesn't want to be in the credits of this game because this game is looking to be a major flop at this point. Whatever they do moving forward, it seems that this game is just never going to come. It's not going to pull a No Man's Sky. It's not going to pull a Star Wars Battlefront 2. Those games at their foundation had good aspects to it. Even Star Wars Battlefront 2, where they try to put the Madden loot boxes into that game. Yes, it was similar to Madden in so many ways. Even that, at least people had fond memories of Star Wars and playing as Darth Vader and stuff like that. But in this, there's no going back. It's like with Dragon Age the Veilguard. No, I'm non-binary will be associated with that game forever, just as much as this game will be associated for stealing content. Now it's been claimed that Marathon has been cancelled. All planned marketing suggesting that a major delay or even a full-scale cancellation is on the horizon. Marathon was due to release on September 23rd, but its latest debacle has thrown the hype train clear off the rails. Hype train? There was no train. There was nothing. You can look at the closed alpha. It was dead in the water. I think what they're going to do is shadow drop this game. I think they're going to try and erase all the content that is plagiarized. Then they're going to pull up an Apex Legends or Elder Scrolls Oblivion and just shadow drop the game and hope that level of excitement will draw some players, and then hopefully the gameplay will speak for itself and allow them to generate enough people who will continuously play the game. I don't think that's going to happen in terms of the longevity of the game because it's already dead. Even if this entire situation did not happen, devil's advocate here, the game simply does not have enough gameplay allurance that people are going to stick with it when there are far more superior titles out there that are either free to play or they've invested so much time into them they're not willing to jump ship. Destiny 2 is free to play. Well, it's free to start. Why would you play that when you can play Destiny 2 for free? Halo Infinite, I would argue, is better in so much way. At least I didn't get invited to the alpha for a marathon, so I can't know how it plays. But I saw people playing it, and it really looked extremely janky. Like, from my perspective, it didn't look that great. Fairly unusual move. In a recent episode of Sacred Symbols podcast, Colin Moriarty, a former IGN fame, explained, I was told by someone familiar with marketing plans in a key overseas market that there are now no plans to do paid marketing for Marathon at all. I don't know if these plans were affected of what has recently happened or if it's always the plan or whatever. It is considered that it's a fairly unusual move for a game of this high profile. Absolutely. Like, here's the thing. If any of that marketed material that's been printed has anti-reels, like anything, they have to remove it. Like, they have to destroy the entire thing or repaint it or do whatever. They can't have it at all. So if they have any marketing material with anything, they have to replace it, and that's going to cause double the budget because, like I said, if a game costs $20 million, you need $20 million to market it, so it's $40 million. And if all that marketing material is based off anti-reels work, which is what Marathon was plagiarized off, again, they admitted to this. I don't know if I should say alleged or not at this point, but they admitted to it, and they're doing damage control. If even a single morsel of that work has her work on it, they're responsible for it. It seems highly unlikely that Bungie will meet the September 23rd release date. There's no way. Unless they pull like 18-hour shifts, even that's stretching it. I just don't see that happening because the second this game comes out, I guarantee you people are going to be looking at every portion of the map just looking for plagiarized content. That's going to be the meta for this game for a large portion of its longevity. And I'm almost certain if we do see a Concord 2 that Sony's just going to do the same thing. If the game doesn't do well within the couple of weeks that it's out, they're going to be like, okay, yank it, remove everything, give refunds to everyone. If you have a physical copy, bring it back to the store. We'll give you a full refund and we'll write it off on our taxes as a business loss. That seems like where they're going to go because right now Sony invested heavily into live service like years ago. And all of that is just crumbling before them. Like Helldivers 2 did well until Sony fucked it up because, you know, big business always has to fuck up things. But for the most part, people are just done with live services. They've already invested so much time into some of the more established live services, or they just want more traditionalized games. I'm seeing a rise of more traditionalized games where you release a full product with an established multiplayer mode like, you know, classic Gears of War or Halo games. But at this point, like, I don't see this game succeeding on any of the thing. Like, it's just, it doesn't have great gameplay. The art style was stolen. No one's really saying anything positive about this game. I don't know where they're going to get the players. This was the fourth time in recent years that Bungie has found itself the subject of plagiarism debate. And Marathon has already been finding it a tough shaping up in the extraction shooter space. It's worth stressing that Moriarty's comments are unconfirmed and subject to being discredited by Bungie. Well, they also were... Like, he was also the one who broke, like, Concord cost, like, $400 million plus. That's never been confirmed, as far as I can tell. But Colin Moriarty is a pretty diligent journalist. He does dot his I's and cross his T's. So I think that he is a pretty good source if this stuff is happening. I mean, he's never really fully lied. I don't know. I trust the guy. I think he's a good... I interacted with him, like, years, like, over, I think, 10 years ago. When he was still at IGN and he came to Comic-Con. Very nice guy. But it gets quite perfectly with the conscientious around the shooter. It's tough to see a world where Bungie is blind to the awful spot the game is in and fully anticipates a strong launch. Honestly, a lot of people think this might be the end of Bungie. I disagree. Like, as bad as... Let's actually look at that. Search games. Destiny 2. Oh, actually, Destiny 2 saw a surge of players. Okay, no, that's actually pretty bad. For a live service game, 39,000. Let's actually look at another live service game. Let's look at Warframe. Kind of in the same space. 39,000. Actually... Okay, yeah, they're not doing... Warframe is beating them by a whole lot. So, yeah, Destiny's not in a good place either. I think that... The way I see it is that this is probably going to lead to another like BioWare situation where they're going to cut the studio and gut it. cut it in half or maybe a third, and say start the work on Destiny 3 or something like that. Well, Destiny 3 would be the safest bet that they have, and do that. I think that's what's going to happen because they've already invested too much money into this company to just destroy it. Like, Bungie's name is still pretty valuable. So I think what would happen if this game fails is that they completely rework leadership. They fire the executive people who have been making these stupid ass decisions. I would recommend they rehire the people who made Bungie if they're still out there and looking for a job. Be like, Marty, come back. Everyone who you got fired at Bungie, you want a job, come back. Just do whatever you want. Just make this company profitable again. Because that's the thing. You give those people free reign to do what they want and make good products, people will come. But at this point, the well is soured. Like, at this point, you have to start making changes and say what isn't working here. And you can see this isn't working. People are stealing stuff. There's a pattern here. The games aren't selling well. They're making very poor decisions with their community. Overall, I do think that Marathon is cooked. I do think that it's going to end up like Concord, and I'm almost certain that Sony's going to pull the same card at this point. Look, I know that sounds like a very doomist perspective, but the writing is on the wall here. Like, depending on how many millions of dollars they've sunk into this project, the mere fact that it is associated with theft, it's just, out of principle, a lot of people are just not going to buy this game. And on top of it, with so many vastly superior games out there, like, that's the other thing that a lot of, I feel like, publishers are not fully understanding nowadays. Gaming is easier to get into than ever before. Anyone can buy like a $500 Steam Deck and have access to huge amounts of games. There are so many, like, you can get a phone and have access to thousands of quality games. It's just like the landscape has changed huge. Look at Expedition 33. A game like that would have never came out like 20 years ago, but now a bunch of people, I think it was made by 50 people, can come together, make an extraordinary game, put it out on Steam, and be like, well, it's also available on Xbox and PlayStation, but you get what I'm saying. Or like a Schedule 1. Just put it out there and let the community just say, okay, we like this. We're going to tell people about it. Go play this game. Content creators create game about it. They get more gameplay videos out there. People become intrigued and they want to play it more. Like, it's just going to, and the opposite effect is going to happen with Marathon, because people are going to play this based on the alpha, and seeing that the alpha is only like it's only a few months before the game's released. That is the game. That's what's going to be like. There's no like Battlefield situation where I think with Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 2042, when the beta or the alpha came out, a lot of people are like, oh, it's just a test and it's going to be better when it comes out. No, that's the game. That's what it's going to be like when it comes out, and the same way it's going to happen with Marathon. This is what we were going to get, and based on the numbers, it just does not look good. But tell me what you think in the comments below. I honestly think that this is dead and buried at this point. They're just going to shadow drop it, see how it does, and if it doesn't do well, concord it. But love to hear other people's opinions. That's it from me. Goodbye, and have a nice day.